Welcome back, singers. Today I will be answering one of your questions that you had under my video, and it's an astrology question. I think we're going to do a little bit more astrology on this channel just so you guys can kind of know how to break down certain aspects in your chart when you look at it, make it a little bit more digestible without the astrology lingo, and kind of understand the relationships and how that plays out in certain situations. And so today we're going to talk about the MC, the most elevated planet. So the question was, how would Saturn in particular play out being the most elevated planet in that career house? So we know that the 10th house is the highest, right? It is the career house, it is the public house, traditionally ruled by Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So any planets that you have and the sign in that house will tell you really what your most likely career aspirations are, and how the planets are going to show you how they're going to play out, any kind of conjunctions or any aspects is going to show you a little bit of how that whole story is going to come together. So me in particular, I have my whole entire Scorpio stellium in my 10th house. And not only that, I have four planets that actually conjunct my MC, which explains what I'm doing here. As far as astrology is concerned, it explains my writing, my books, it explains speaking, it explains connecting with individuals, it explains all of that. And so when we talk about Saturn, which is my chart ruler, by the way, because my ascendant is Capricorn, if you have Saturn in your MC, what is Saturn? Saturn, it's in its comfortable house because that's the original ruler, the comfortable rulership of that house, which is Saturn. So if you have Saturn in your 10th house and it's the closest, the highest, at the highest point, Saturn represents what? Responsibility. It represents authority. It represents structure, discipline, traditionalism. It represents some type of dominance, some type of authority figure over others. It could speak managerial. It could speak anyone who's in charge. In fact, this was probably last year or so in one of my astrology classes, we did like a whole section on the royals, and we saw that Saturn was literally at the top of the chart in the majority of these families because they have a lot of responsibility, they govern over a lot of people, they make a lot of decisions, they hold a certain amount of tradition, they are responsible for a vast amount of individuals. And so if you have Saturn at the highest point, now this is unknowing of, what else is going on there, not knowing what sign is in your 10th house. If you just have Saturn there, I'm not sure what else is there. I'm not sure what the aspects to and from Saturn is. So if we just say Saturn is the most elevated on the MC, I would say it definitely puts you in a position of responsibility. It puts you in a position of most likely handling a lot of affairs. It puts you in a position of authority. It puts you in a position of carrying a lot of burden. Saturn is a sign of burden. Saturn is a karmic sign. So it's whether you want to or not, these are your responsibilities. It's really not an option. It's not a choice. It's like, yes, this is what I have to do. And so, Saturn up there is a lot of, I would use the word responsibility, and I would use the word authority. So it puts you in charge, and it could be with anything. I don't know what the other aspects are, but maybe you're in charge of a family business, and you also want to look to that opposite house because the fourth house is going to tell you, a lot about what you're doing up there. It could mean that you're running a family business. It could mean that you are the one in charge of family decisions. It could mean that you are responsible for your whole entire family. Maybe you're financially responsible, and then you could tell if it does have to do with finances, it'll have a connection with the second house as well. And so having a lot of planets in the 10th house also connect with the fourth. That tells you pretty much who you are in terms of that family. It definitely explains mine, having my sun, moon, and everything, all my Scorpio planets up there. It completely explains who I am and my family and the responsibility that I have towards my family, financially and otherwise, being who I am. And so I hope that's helpful. Now, if we want to talk about elevated planets, and it's not Saturn, maybe your most elevated is Mars. You want to think about, what is Mars? Mars is an aggressive planet. It's a planet of action energy. It's a planet of it's sexual energy too. So there's different ways, and this is why I say you have to see what the connecting factors are, because someone like a Mike Tyson, I believe his most elevated planet is Mars, and that makes sense because his whole career he was a boxer, which is very physical, and boxing could be deadly. Boxing is a very dangerous sport. But also I believe Beyonce, I think her most elevated planet is Mars as well. And look at what she does. She's not just a singer and entertainer, but she's very physical. She wasn't like a Whitney Houston who just stood there in gowns and sang. Oh no, she's all over the place. She's falling downstairs. She's on her knees. She's a very physical performer. And so when you look at that, you want to think of what's involved in the career, how the planets involve certain aspects. If you have Venus, as the most elevated planet, you want to look at the sign it's in, because Venus in Libra is different than Venus in Taurus. So you want to look at the sign it's in as well, and that'll kind of give you a little bit more of like what's going on. And so if you have Venus up there, let's say it is Venus in Libra, there's a lot of beauty element to that. Some people are known for their looks and their beauty and not really their talent. And, maybe their features, or people are like, oh my gosh, she was so beautiful. She, like a Marilyn Monroe, I believe her MC was Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. And then if you do have that, if you don't have any planets up there and you just have a sign, you're like, well, my MC is Gemini. Go find Mercury, honey, and that's going to really tell you what's going on with what's going on up there. It's going to where it's situated, and the energy coming to and from that is going to tell you how it's connected to your public image. Marilyn's public image was beauty. Like I don't know anybody who says, oh my gosh, she was such a great actress. No, I don't know no one for that. Everybody talks about her beauty and her features, and oh my gosh, she was the most beautiful. That's all they can say. Like no one is saying like, oh, she should have gotten an Oscar, and never heard of it. But that's that Venus energy up there, what she was known for. Now maybe she could have been all these things, but that really is not what the public sees. So when you think of those elevated planets, what is happening? How do you see me? You don't know me from a can of paint. But if someone mentioned my name, just based on who I am publicly, there's already images that come up very quickly. You're like, oh, she's this, that, and the other. And that is because of all of my planets in my MC. All right, guys, I hope that was a little bit digestible for you. Like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. I'll see you at ScorpioSunScorpioMoon.com, where you can get my audio and paperback books. If you're here in New York City, you can pick them up at Shanti Bookshop and Quest Bookshop And of course, they're at the public libraries if you can't afford to purchase. And I have my pop-up shop still open. That'll be open till a little bit after Labor Day. You can get amazing jewelry and accessories that are like sterling silver, rose gold, or sterling. My mask I still have. And you can book a chart reading so I can break all of this down for you. You'll know what your MC is. You'll know what your challenges are. You'll know if you're fluffy. You'll know if you're not. You'll know all of those things, and you'll know what to do with it, most importantly. Like, oh my gosh, this is the reason why I'm doing that. Let's channel that energy elsewhere so I can get this result. Like, you'll have some sort of focus of like, oh, I get this behavior. Oh, I get why this is still troubling me. Or, oh, I get why I'm so fascinated by this career. You know, what do I do with it? If you want a one-on-one with me, you can get a personal live stream session as well. I'm doing forensics now, so all that's on the website. And I think that's it. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Wait, I didn't want to leave on that note because I have my Life Path Oracle deck, and I wanted to just shuffle for you, speaking of the MC and careers, what pops up. So let's see. What do you have for Scorpios? Here we go. Career change. Ooh, you're embarking upon a career change that brings you the joy and abundance you desire and deserve. Oh, can you see that? There we go. Look at that. A lot of you are changing careers. You're going in a totally different path. Maybe some of you have picked up some careers that your parents wanted you to do. Maybe society told you that you should do something just for the money purposes. I know I've been there, like, oh, what can I make money at? And you know, that gets really old. And you wake up one day and 20 years have gone by and you're so miserable. And the money doesn't even equate to the passion that you have for a lot of things. So many of you are throwing that in the trash. You're like, I'm not impressing anybody else. F what my parents thinks or my spouse or whomever. I really have always wanted to do this, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to just change. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 50, you could be 60. It does not matter, you know. And so many of you are making that decision, and I think that's fabulous. All right, guys. I will see you soon. Mwah.